All right, hello once again. This is Jeff Scott of Rankin Technical College. In the last lecture, we started working on this All-American program, where the idea is if we click the red button, the form, or I should say our viewer, will turn red. The white button, it'll turn white. The blue button, it'll turn blue. Well, you can hopefully see a problem that we have already with this, and that is that right now, the form's already white. So I'm going to click on the form. Should say the viewer. I'm going to click on the screen is what it's called, and I'm going to go to my properties over here, and under the background color it's currently white, but I'm going to click there and I'm going to change it to something. Let's just make it light gray. Okay, now you might think, and we could do this, I could come out and I could just like we did before, I could bring out the white button, and I could do the same thing but make it white, and I could bring out the blue button and I could do the same thing and make it blue, and that would be fine. But it actually isn't even that hard to do. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this, and if you look over on the far right corner, there's a garbage can here. I'm going to throw this in the garbage. It actually opens up and it swallows it. So there it is. So even though I can do that, what I also can do is I can right mouse click where the word when is and choose duplicate. And there, notice, it's now duplicated it. Now it's giving me an error because it says I've got two button clicks for a red button. But notice where it says button red, if I click the down arrow, it also has button white and button blue. So I'm going to do that, but then I have to change the color too. All right, so white, and then I'm going to go and I'm going to duplicate it again. And this time, I'm going to choose the blue button, and I'm going to change the color to blue. And virtually, we're done now with the program. But I do want you to understand that what we're doing in other languages, we would have to write code to do this. For instance, in C#, we would double click on the button, which would bring up the button's click event. And we'd have to write something along the lines of the name of our form dot back color equals, blue or something dot blue or whatever, or dot red or dot white. We have not written a lick of code. And if I go back now, and I like to always run this, you can run it right from here, but I like to always go back to my designer so I can see it. And I'm going to come back here, and there's everything. Now, sometimes it takes the emulator a little bit of time to catch back up, but we'll see if it's working now. So there's our red, there's our white, there's our blue. And there's different versions of red, of blue especially, that we could have used. I just grabbed one, okay? So what did I want you to get across from this first lecture that we went through? Well, for lack of better words, amongst other things, just how easy it is to set something up here. Now, if I wanted to, I could click on Build, and I could choose there where it says App, Save APK to my computer. Or I could choose App, Provide QR code for APK. If you choose that one, it'll literally create a QR code, one of those code things that you see and that they have at stores and all over the place, where you could send that code to people, and it'll have both a code on it and it'll have a series of numbers. And if they either scan the code or type in the numbers, and if they have an Android phone, they'd be able to use this. What most people do is they save the file as an APK file to their computer, and then they email it to other people. If you email it to somebody, and the person that you email it to has got an Android phone, all right, that APK file should have, all right, it'll have some kind of an icon. You can set up your own custom icons. We're not going to do that, at least not right now. But what I wanted to show you though is it's kind of hard to see right here, but that is an icon. It looks like a little Android guy, all right? And I think either that one or the one that's down here, so if I go into here and I go to Google Images and I type in Android. In fact, let's try AppInventor. I haven't even done this. Inventor2. All right. It's going to look like this right here. I believe that's what it's going to look like. Something like that. And if they install, or sort of, if they open up that APK file on their phone, so if you email it to them and they open it up, they should be able to run your app. Now, why is that significant? Well, you can literally create things, games and whatever, and send them to other people, and they can use them for free if that's what you want to do. All right. Also, unless it's changed, these apps that you create, you can send right to the Google Play Store. They are Android apps. You're not writing them using Java. All right. You're using App Inventor, which is doing a lot of the same work, but it's doing it for you behind the scenes. But if you build yourself a game, all right, you can submit it to the App Store just like you would if you were writing an Android app in Java. Now, like I said, unless it's changed, it doesn't cost money to submit things to the App Store. Now, that, again, that may have changed. All right. I know that at least historically, if you do it on the other side, if you do it on the iPhone side, that you have to join. You have to join. It's not a club, but you have to join basically in some organization through Apple, and I think it's $100 a year if you're an independent developer. But I believe that if you do it here, it doesn't cost anything. And even if it does, if my goal is to build myself some kind of an app, and maybe it's a family thing, and I build this really cool app, and I know that everyone in my family has an Android phone, then I can save it as an APK, and I can basically take it and make it available to all of them by emailing it to them. Okay. A couple more things I want to mention here that are on here. I want to mention the stuff that's here. Notice it says projects here. Well, there's where I can look at my current project, start up a new one. I can import. So if I've got something maybe either I created or somebody else created, I can bring these in. All right, I can delete the project I'm working on. I can save it as another name. Not sure what checkpoint is. All right, and we can do some exporting and importing of stuff too. I'm not going to go through that stuff now, but I just want you to see that. This is pretty important, this connect. If you decide that what you want to do is rather than using the emulator like I'm doing, you want to hook up your actual Android phone, then you probably want to come down and download, I believe it's the AI Companion right there. And again, there are steps to do that online. I'm not trying to be all things to all people here. I'm just trying to show you how you can get up and running with Android AppInventor2 and use the emulator and just start making some stuff. So I use the emulator. If you want to connect through a USB, you do it right here. These two things are important. Occasionally what will happen is there'll be a disconnect, literal or figuratively or literally, a disconnect between the emulator and your system. And if that happens, you can try to reset it right here. All right? Sometimes it is in such bad shape that you do a reset and nothing happens. I would suggest if that happens, to restart the entire computer. Now, I didn't mention this before, and as I've told you, I'm not a hardware guy, but to my knowledge, all of this stuff is being saved. Everything that we're creating here by default is being saved to servers that are out on the cloud, in the cloud someplace. All right? If I do a hard reset, that'll basically try to take everything and set it back to the way it was since the last time it's been reset. Now, the bad thing about that is if you've done any upgrades, you might have to go back and upgrade again. So that should only be used as a last resort, is what I'm telling you. All right? There's build, and I already mentioned these two to you. There is help, all right? And I'm not going to go through any of that stuff, but this is where you can get to the tutorials and some other stuff. The reported issue can be important. So if you've got something where you tried to do something, like now this morning, I kept trying to connect. I already had this file. Where was it? I already had this file right here. This was already open, but for some reason, when I tried to run things, and I chose the emulator here, so when I went to connect through the emulator, it came up and it kept telling me to bring that file up again. So I brought it up 2 or 3 times. I thought, this is ridiculous. So what I did was I tried a hard reset, and that didn't work either. And then I thought, I shouldn't say that, because before I did the hard reset, I was going to do a hard reset. And I thought that was pretty extreme, because it came up and it told me, I had recently done an upgrade on here, and it said I might have to upgrade again, and I thought, I don't want to do that. So what I did was I exited App Inventor and just restarted the entire computer. And then after, I closed everything that was open. I did an alt tab, found all my open stuff, closed it, and then went back in again, and everything's been working fine ever since then. All right? So, again, what we've gone through, and we're going to go over this stuff in just a second, but we've built now our first project. All right? It doesn't do a whole heck of a lot. It does work, which is always a good start. It does. I can keep going back and forth and, to my heart's content. All right? You can see the buttons look pretty good now, and part of the reason is because, again, I made them 32, and 32 times 3 is 96, so I left a little bit, like 4% of give, so to speak. But I will tell you that the way it looks on here will not be exactly the way it'll look on your phone. All right, just so you're aware of that. All right. Let's look quickly at the stuff that's up here, and then we will put this lecture to bed. So the My Projects, that's a list of all the things that I've got, so I can click there at any time. The gallery is kind of neat. These are things, and it'll fill up in a second, but these are projects that other people have created, and they're open source typically, so you can download them. All right? Now that said, yes, you can download them. You can even make changes to them. All right? I don't know what the particulars are. Please don't download one and put it back out in the App Store and say, well, Jeff Scott said I could do that. No, I didn't. I'm telling you, this is a resource for you to learn how people do different things. There's a guide. I showed you that a little bit before, so you can get there from here. All right. There's that report an issue, where if there are problems, you can literally, okay. And MIT has a really good, if you go to the MIT App Inventor forum, they've got all sorts of stuff in here. There's FAQ pages, etc. They're trying to help you. All right, I can change the language here. You can see the different languages. All right, and here if I can sign out. Okay. So, yeah, we're at 12 minutes. I believe that's pretty much long enough for this particular lecture. So what I'm going to do when we come back, okay, we pretty much finished now with this AA2 project. I'm going to come back and I'm going to build the next one that I had in here, which was The Boy Who Cried Wolf. Okay, so I'll come back with that in just a couple minutes.